We told you it was too good to be true. Let's step into the on deck circle.
You're listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar App, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and KC Bubba.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to On Deck right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is KC Bubba, and it's you, and we are talking MLB DFS. We've got a full slate of games. Yes, I have been waiting nearly 7 full months to say we've got a full slate of MLB games. It's unbelievable how long it's been since being able to say something like that in 2020. But here we are, finally, a full slate of games, and we're going to break it all down for you. And it's good times. And again, we come here courtesy of the LineStar app. And if you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe every day. We're going to give you your DFS in 30 minutes. We get in, we get out, we get you the information you need to be successful, and we rock and roll. And Bubba, you know, it was a pretty good start yesterday. I know it was only 2 games, but we said, hey, you know, Scherzer's got a really good value on the board here. And, well, he struck out 11 guys, even though he didn't go like 7 innings. Obviously, the rain out kind of, put a damper on things. But we also said it was too good to be true when it came to that whole Clayton Kershaw thing. Turned out we were right about that. Sometimes some things just seem so good that it's almost too easy, and it usually, inevitably, it is.
Yep, that's the truth. Usually it is, especially in the baseball world we live in, where it's like literally anything can happen on any given day. And one thing on that Scherzer comment there, we need to, well, maybe not talk about a ton, but one thing that, different scoring formats, guys that strike out a lot of guys like Scherzer, they can afford to give up some runs. Scherzer had almost the same exact amount of points as Garrett Cole, and because he struck out 6 more guys than Garrett Cole. So things like that, when you're evaluating, this and that between certain guys, if it's a high strikeout upside guy and a high strikeout matchup, even though he might give up a couple long balls, still a very, very strong play, saving a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, and a very good point there. See, KC Bubba, you're not just a pretty face. So you look at dropping all this knowledge right here.
Oh, trust me, I'm a face for radio. Trust me, I'll give you that. I don't have the headshots like you do in the black.
Oh well, I'm a fancy man. It's look, you don't think this is an accident, man? This takes hours to get right. Let me tell you, bro. This don't come together overnight. But look, you're absolutely right, dude. You nailed it. And just yesterday on the TV show on Sports Grid, I was talking about Kershaw's FIP compared to his ERA last year, and the FIP was like nearly 4. And I was just telling everybody, and I made the comment on the show, and this is the 12-2 show I do there. And I said, look, just so everybody knows, yeah, Kershaw was good last year. He absolutely was. He certainly bounced back, but he's not the dominant Kershaw of yesteryear. And I think everyone needs to get that out of their head. And the last thing I said, again, this was around like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time. I said, back issues are back issues. They could always pop up at any time. And it's something that you really have to factor into your ownership of him, not just in season long, but also in daily. And it's almost like the word bubble in my mouth. And you can go back and you can find it on TV. I'm telling you, I'm saying these words. And then a few hours later, boom, there's Dustin May coming in to try to save the day. Just crazy stuff. But again, that was yesterday. This is today. And we're going to give you our home run calls. And we're going to give you all of our picks as well. Let you know the guys you need in your lineups, because obviously there's a lot to get to today. So without further ado, Bubba, are you ready to dive in here and pick some winners?
Let's do it.
Excellent. Okay, now obviously you've got that early game here with the Mets and the Braves. We tend to kind of let some of those early things go. We're just going to go straight to the main slate here. So let's get to the 7 o'clock games here. And we've got the first 7 o'clock game we got is Alcantara versus Aaron Nola. Look, I know this is another one that looks very chalky over on the FanDuel side. Nola is 9.9. Alcantara is 6.8. I don't love the Phillies bullpen. So I'm always worried about Nola for the W here going forward. So I'm going to fade away from this. Anything to like in this pitching matchup for you? Cause I'm going to stay away.
FanDuel side, definitely not. DraftKings side, if we go there, I think Nola is an interesting pivot off some guys in the price range close to him. But I agree that Phillies bullpen can be sketchy as all sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, there's hardly anybody left in there. But look, on the other side of this, in terms of hitters, DK, obviously you're paying through the nose for guys. And this is something that last year, Chris and I talked about a ton. And we're going to talk about it again here because so far the trend is the same, which is FanDuel is looser and the FanDuel pricing on top of that, especially in the evening games, they are begging you to play evening slates. They are begging you to play the late slates where Bubba lives. He gets up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to do the show with me or something. Like, I don't even know how we all make this work, but we do. Bubba's out there plowing the fields, and then he gets up and does a little show with me, and then he goes back to plowing the fields. But I've noticed this, and this is why we're going to like be flying through the early slate, because I feel like in the late slate, there's a lot to like here. Of course, you can go look at some of the lefties in this Phillies lineup against Alcantara. That's fair, but Alcantara's got a good fastball on any given night. That guy can show up. Is there anything that pops to you in this game on either of these two lineups?
No, it's pretty much if you are going to target the Phillies, like you said, lefties do have the advantage on Alcantara. He made the fastball changes towards the end of last season, and that helped out a ton. If he can carry that over, that's great. But, Harper's, I think, can have a big year, but that's an expensive price tag. It's either you have to go all in on the Phillies or I'd kind of stay away.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards the stay away here. Jay Bruce on FanDuel is cheap. He's just 2.1 in the middle of that lineup as a lefty. Just would point that out. That's a good use. DD's only 3K. So, there's a couple of things there to look at. It's also, is it weird culture shock to see DHs throughout every lineup now? Like, I feel like that's, I don't know. I was ready for it, but it's weird.
It is weird, especially even just doing last night's going, wait, we can do wraparound stacks in the National League. This is very strange now.
I know. And like you could do that sometimes, but now it's like every game. So it's such a weird approach. And it's great because it's going to get some more names in here that we wouldn't normally talk about. A name that I do love. Look, if you want to be chalk and simple tonight, Shane Bieber at 10.2 on the FanDuel side certainly makes sense. I mean, there's some other matchups here that you can look at, but Bieber's 10.3 on DK. He's expensive there, but if you want that standalone FanDuel pitcher, you want to get what you're paying for. You want the strikeouts, as Bubba's saying. I'm looking at this Royals lineup, obviously missing some pieces here, no doubt. You still got Merrifield, Mondesi, and Soler at the top, but after that, we're talking about the Ryan McBrooms of the world and, Nicky Lopez and guys like that. Hunter Dozier's out of this lineup right now. So for me, I think Bieber's the way to go if you're looking for, let's pay up, let's play cash, and we got to find some guys cheap and some cheap guys to go with him. Or you're right off the bat, Franmil Reyes, 2.7K against Danny Duffy. Where do I sign? Is there a place I can sign for that? Because I would very much like to have a piece of that. That's over on the FanDuel side. And look, you can even go with a stack here if you want. You can go like Santana, Reyes, Santana. You could do your double Santanas, which, sometimes you got to pay twice as much for that action. But Bubba, how do you see this? Are you with me too, or Bieber's probably the best of the chalk tonight?
100%. I think there's one other guy that we'll get to that I think is very good chalk-wise, but especially on DraftKings, two-pitcher sites, if you're playing cash, you pretty much start with Bieber, in my opinion. On FanDuel, still a great play as well. You might find a little value somewhere else, but I think cash-wise, Bieber is a phenomenal place to start off. And when you're talking the bats, this Cleveland team's got one of the highest totals on the slate, and they're in a great spot because a lot of their switch hitters can just pound it from the right side as well. Duffy is not great. That's not like a captain obvious stuff there, but you mentioned some value stuff with Franmil Reyes, Domingo Santana. If you want a super value, because there's a platoon in that outfield. Jordan Luplow is 2,200. He is a lefty killer. Naquin will face the righties. Luplow faces the lefties. So on FanDuel at 2,200, if you really want to get deep in a Cleveland stack, you could go to a guy like Luplow. He's cheap on DraftKings. Santana's cheap on DraftKings as well. Domingo, that is. But overall, for a team that's supposed to have as much thump as they should tonight, they do have some pretty affordable prices in that lineup.
Not to mention, and here's a perfect example, right? Luplow, you just mentioned, was he 2.2 on FanDuel, you just said, right?
Yep.
I'm looking at it on DK. He's 4.2 Okay.
Yeah, he's 200 less than Franmil and 600 more than Domingo on DraftKings.
In the words of Matt Riddle, bro.
Exactly.
I just can't and this is what I was saying. And look, we're here to make you money. This is what we're trying to do here at LineStar App. We're here to get you playing. And again, the LineStar App is the best tool out there. I'm telling you guys, we're going to get to the LineStar picks and the values of the night later in the show. We're also going to get you all of our home run calls as well. Let's skip to the next game here. But that just illustrates it, right? The difference between these two. There's a $2,000 difference on Luplow, who is a really good play tonight, lefty-righty against Duffy. And it's just, why? Why would you put yourself through the torture of trying to make that lineup work on one spot where you can't on the other? Now, a guy who's going to help you on DK tonight is Brandon Woodruff at 7.7. Now, listen, boys and girls, come up to the fire real close because Uncle Joe's going to tell you a story. And that is the Brewers keep surprising everyone every year. Okay, let's stop writing off the Brewers. Let's just stop. The Cubs, are a good baseball team. Don't get me wrong. It's a good lineup. I like the lineup. However, there's like this national fan base always for the Cubs, and what's going on in Milwaukee the last 2 years is, let's be frank, Milwaukee's been a better baseball team. And Woodruff was exceptional last year. He's just 7-7 over on DK. That is a huge value. Just 8-7. He might be, he's tied right now for my favorite of the two tournament pitchers. But the reason I love it so much is because I always feel like there's going to be extra juice on the Cubs side. People see this matchup and automatically they go, oh, it's against the Cubs. Oh, it's in Wrigley Field, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Brandon Woodruff is a strikeout machine. And I'll tell you what, I even like, the ability of Woodruff to possibly even get a win in this one, because I think the Brewers bullpen's pretty good. So what are your thoughts tonight on this one? Do you think I'm off base, or you think Woodruff is a guy that you're going with as well?
I don't dislike it. I'm not all in on this game. I kind of almost want to just cross this game off for me for the most part, because I love Woodruff. There's a little bit to worry me in that Cubs lineup, but I agree with what you said in the GPP.
See, and that's exactly everything you just said is why I love it in GPP, because I think even the smart players like you would say the same thing. And I think this is why you attack the hell out of this one, because
and I get that completely. Yeah. Like if you want to be different in a GPP, Woodruff strikeout up. We just talked about Scherzer strikeouts. Like strikeout upside wise, Woodruff can deal for 5 or 6 innings and get you close to 8 to 10 Ks, and that's going to be tremendous. So in a GPP, 100% on board with your theory there. Just as a whole, if I have to cross off a few games to kind of narrow down my pool, I'm probably crossing this game off.
All right, fair enough. So we're going to see this one differently. I am definitely in on Woodruff today. There's one other pitcher later on that I like a whole lot too. Anything hitting wise in this one pop out to you? Because look, if you're staying away, you're staying away across the board, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to stay away. I like Woodruff too much to go targeting the Cubs bats, and Hendricks is as not flashy as he is. He limits damage, so you might get a little bit here and there, but try to stack a Brewers against Hendricks doesn't usually work out too well.
All right, here's your idiot stack of the night, boys and girls. It is the Red Sox, okay?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Tommy Milone is opening day starter. However, there's a couple other little tidbits from this game. So if you want to go pay up, this is your chance right here. JD, Devers, Xander Bogaerts, 3.6, 3.6, 3.9 for JD. The rest are all 3.6 on the FanDuel. That was on the FanDuel side. On the DK side, as always, you're going to have to pay a lot more. Devers is 5.4. Xander Bogaerts is 4.9. JD's 4.8. I would pivot to the bottom part of this lineup on DK.
Yep.
With even going with Verdugo, the lefty. I would do that 3.5. I would definitely take Chavis at 3 on DK. To me, those are the values on the board. And let me tell you something. Here's another variance. You ready for this one, Bubba? Hold on to your KCs, Bubba, because Austin Hayes is 4.5 leading off over on DK. But on FanDuel, he's only 2.4 at the top against Nate Eovaldi. What?
Yeah, the DraftKings pricing. I got done. I wrote an article last night about value plays, and I went through both platforms, and I just scratched my head about some of the price points. And every game's got a few of them. Austin Hayes makes no sense. 2.4 on FanDuel, as you mentioned. The FanDuel pricing on this game is very interesting. And one thing, I like how you mentioned Austin Hayes. As much as I like Eovaldi, and I think he can get a bunch of strikeouts in this matchup, I think he's going to be popular because he's 7,100 on DK, and when it comes to he's 7,100 on FanDuel as well. I think he'll be popular in that respect. I think it's like a game stack. Don't just ignore
this says 7.4 written all over it.
Yeah, don't ignore the Orioles. Renato Nunez at 26 can run into one because we know Eovaldi, as hard as he throws, if it hits that bat, it's going a long ways. Austin Hayes is an interesting option as well, like you mentioned. And then when you talk about the Red Sox side of things, Jose Peraza is super cheap if you're going crazy stack, but Chavis only 26 on FanDuel, 3K on DK. And don't ignore, like you mentioned, Verdugo, especially on FanDuel at 23, and then you got guys like Benintendi.
Yeah, because
as bad as Malone is,
right? But they'll get scared off of the lefty. But how long is Tommy Malone for this game, boys? Come on, let's go.
Bingo. Lots of Orioles bad bullpen coming into play, so you can get some low ownership pieces of this stack. Tremendous.
Oh God, get in. DK, what are you doing with that pricing? Go home. You're drunk. All right, let's do the next one here. 8:00 game. We got Marquez versus Lynn. Rockies and Texas Rangers. Now, look, I like Lance Lynn a lot, so I'm not really going to go too heavy here on the Rockies. I'm gonna fade this one. Sam Hilliard is just 2.0, and look, that's something that you just need to be aware of. It's just a good bat for 2K. That if you want to go up to Bieber tonight or Verlander or whatever you want to spend up on, you're going to need some guys like that to make it work, and he's a decent one. Along with Luplow, Hilliard and Luplow are the two top LineStar picks of value today. And it's not surprising. And guess who third is? It's Austin Hayes over on the FanDuel side. I really don't want to spend too much time on this one because I'm not feeling this. I mean, you could always get in on Joey Gallo. 3.5 is a decent return. I don't know. I'm just not feeling this one tonight from looking at the matchups and looking at the numbers. If it was in Colorado, I'd feel differently. I also don't know how the new Texas ballpark plays, and none of us do. So I'm going to wait and see with that. How about you?
I think Lance Lynn can be kind of the Woodruff version of a GPP pitcher if you want to, targeting Colorado 100%. Outside the Coors. So I think he'll go low own, and you could target him in that respect, especially on DraftKings. And then you could attack Marquez if you want. I respect Marquez. We don't know the ballpark plays, but lefties do get him very, very well. A lot of thump in that Texas lineup. They do have one of the higher team totals, but it's pretty much Lance Lynn or kind of pass for me.
All right, the next one here, we got Barrios and Giolito. Both are in the 9K range over on the FanDuel side. On the DK side, prices are, they're exactly the same, basically. Look at that. Oh, look at that. I love when that happens. They're just, okay, so you know what they are. Basically, you have to flip a coin and pick a side. I'm not a big fan of that personally. Both of these offenses are tremendous. Both of these pitchers, I think the world of. So this is either going to be a 1-0 game, or it's going to be 8-7. And I just, the variance is too huge for me to be using in cash games. If you want to get in one side, and this is a game to me that if you're doing tournaments tonight and you're doing multi-entry, you pick a side in one and pick a side in the other, and you see which plays out. If you have the kind of cash to go and play multi-entry, if you're doing single entry, I would avoid this game like the plague, because I think there's just too many outcomes potentially from it. I just basically gave you 4 outcomes on either side of this game. What are your thoughts on them? I'm curious if you have a different take.
No, you're 100% correct. That's exactly where I stand on this. 2 great pitchers, 2 great offenses, 4 outcomes are possible here. If it's an MME thing, sure. If not, there's 8 to 9 other games you can target.
There's one outcome in the next game, which is the Cardinals versus the Pirates. The Cardinals at home, Jack Flaherty on the mound. I know you have to lay 162 to win 100 here, but you know what? This might be a safe bet tonight. Just put that out
not
there.
Too bad.
I think Flaherty's going to dominate the Pirates, but it is very chalky. And if you want to get off the Bieber chalk just a little bit, okay, the Flaherty might be the other way to go because Musgrove has some moments, but this lineup right now for the Pirates is just bad. It's just bad. Colin Moran's hitting 5. Jose Ozuna at 2.2. I would like some nights, but not tonight. So no to the Pirates, yes to Flaherty. How about the Cardinals offense here? Anything on DK or FanDuel side you see some value in?
Nothing that really stands out to me because this Cardinals offense isn't that great. It's scary about it. It's really, really rough. So I think Flaherty is a great target, like you said. As the guy I kind of mentioned earlier, talking Bieber. If you can afford a Bieber Flaherty cash game stack on DraftKings, you're in a great spot out the gate. I think that's a phenomenal way to go. But FanDuel wise, he's a little too pricey for me in that scenario. Other than that, I really don't like either offense here. It's just DeYoung at 28 is not bad. Edmund at 27, but they're not. See,
Wong is the guy that popped out for me. Wong at the top at 2.5 over on the FanDuel side, just because. Give me the extra at bats. Give me the stolen base upside a little bit. Can get you some points there. I think he's going to score a couple runs tonight, or at least has the potential for that. That's my approach too. I don't know how good I feel about Jacob Stallings throwing anybody out either. So Wong to me is that one little I'll cherry pick that piece, and the rest of it I might let it go. Just where we're at. All right, let's shift here as we continue on into the 9 o'clock hour. We are now. Again, 9 Eastern hour. We are Justin Verlander at home, 11.2 over on FanDuel. That's expensive. He is going against the Seattle Mariners. He's 11.4 over on DK. 11.4 is just really tough on DraftKings. Once you cross over that 10 threshold for me on DK, your offense is going to look like a who's who of who the hell is that, I think. And I always struggle with that personally. I feel like, you want to try to stay around that 15K range between your 2 pitchers, somewhere in that, give or take. If you can go up a little bit some nights and make that work. But when you start with a guy at 11.4, you got to go all the way down to the bottom. And I don't see that bottom pairing. Maybe you do tonight as we keep going here. But what are your thoughts on this Houston one? Is this another easy stack that you're just going to pile up on with some of the righties here in this lineup and actually pay up? Are you going to fade Verlander and pay for the offense? Are you going to do vice versa? Where do you go?
Yeah, Verlander's steep, especially when you can go a Bieber or a Flaherty. It's tough to justify going to a Verlander. I get it, and maybe that lowers his ownership, so he's worth it. But it does make your offense kind of poo-pooey. When it comes to the Astros side of the
That's
offense,
a real word, by the way, for everybody
Yes.
out there. Poo-pooey is a real adjective. Don't let anybody tell you different. Go, continue, Casey.
Scrabble has it and allows it.
Scrabble, yeah, I think it's a triple word score.
Yeah, when you look at the righties, they're expensive on FanDuel. Like DraftKings, I can make it work. We know the Astros are a good offense, but historically, the last few years, I don't know if I'm running to play a soft tossing Marco Gonzalez who limits the hard contact. I like other games, but you will get these guys, like you said, the late night hammer type stuff. If you want to be really contrarian, the one thing I will mention with Seattle, for $2,700 on FanDuel, Kyle Seager's not pretty at all, but Verlander does go up the long ball, and Seager can do that. So if you really want to get really weird with it, but it's pretty much Verlander or walk away from me in this one.
The one other cherry pick piece is Carlos Correa on the FanDuel side of 3-2 too. I like that one because I think we're going to get to that bullpen sooner than later in Seattle, and then that's where guys will be feasting for sure. Bregman's expensive. For $800 less, I can have Correa, and I'll take that to the bank. All right, next one here, Bumgarner against Paddock. 9K over on the FanDuel side for Bumgarner, 8.9 for Paddock. This is a fun baseball game. Like this is like one of those late games where I'm excited about. But I kind of go back to that other game we talked about with Minnesota and the White Sox where I see 4 outcomes, and that always makes me go, not really thrilled about it. There's some value here on the FanDuel side. You got Will Myers at 2.5, Tommy Pham at 2.9, who brings you the power and speed, and Manny Machado's just 3K. So let me tell you something. If you want to go here, you could even get Tatis in there too. Tatis, Machado, and Pham are all 3.3 and under. Like that is exceptional. And Bumgarner had a 5 ERA on the road last year away from San Francisco. So if another contrarian played tonight, a contrarian stack for me is the Padres against Bumgarner. How do you feel about that? And do you have any love for the Arizona side?
I love that stack. DraftKings are not too expensive either. FanDuel obviously much cheaper. The Myers, the Phams, the Machados, the Tatises of the world. Bumgarner gave up a 334 average to righties last year compared to 264 versus lefties. So there is absolutely a sneaky low-owned appeal on that one. When you look at the D-back side of it, the only guy I really like is maybe like a Marte or a Peralta, but I'm not super in love with it. So I don't mind attacking Bumgarner in this one.
All right, there you go. Look at us going against Bumgarner. Sorry, old man. Sorry, it's just nothing personal. We're just trying to make some cash here for people. All right, 2 more games on the slate. We've got the Dodgers against the Giants. I think you're pitching for the Giants tonight, right, Bubba? Is that what's happening? I'm not sure.
I might have a better chance than Samardzija, that's for sure.
And Ross Stripling on the other side of this one. Stripling is just 7.9 over on DK. I'm not, Stripling is. I'm just worried about how deep he can go into this game. Normally, I'd be all over this, but that's my big concern is like, can he get to the W? Because I feel like at the price he's at, he still kind of has to get to the W. Maybe he can. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one? Is Stripling somebody as a secondary pitcher on DK you can roll with tonight?
That's the tough part. I think he is, but you have to go into that knowing. Like Dustin May could have easily finished 5 last night, but Roberts pulled him in the middle of the 5th. Like he
and that's my that one's not surprising to me because of May and because like basically it's like, hey kid, are you still on that bus? Yeah, tell him to turn around. Like that's
exactly like Stripling. We know we saw him throw 5 his last time out, so it's not that issue. It's just Dave Roberts and that awesome bullpen. It's like, okay, if I have any problem, why don't I use all these extra pitchers I have right now? So that's the problem.
Yeah. On the hitting side of this one. On FanDuel, you're looking for value. How about Justin Turner in the middle at 3K? Oh my goodness. What? You're giving me that for free, basically. Corey Seager, 3.2. And Kiki, who went yard last night at 2.6, swinging the hot bat. I mean, hell, let's do it. Turner, Seager, Hernandez, fade the Muncy, Betts, Bellinger, big boy salaries. Let's go for that 4, 5, 6 in this lineup and let's roll. I mean, hell, why not Peterson too at 3? Like to me, this makes all the sense in the world. Fade the big boys in LA tonight and let's go with some of the cheaper guys on DK. There's no cheap guys in this lineup. Nope. They're all expensive. Kiki's just 3.4, Pollock's 3.7, but it's again, this is the problem with a lot of DFS coverage. It gets very generic and they'll say, oh, this is a good stack. No, this is a good stack on FanDuel tonight. This grouping, I hate that. It's lazy fantasy. I refuse to give that to you here on the program. We refuse to do that. But dude, that just it irks me, bub. Like I don't know why. Oh, this is the stack of the night. Shut up. No, it's not the stack of the night. This is a stack that you could use in this kind of format. on that particular site this night in this slate that you want to play. And look, isolating the late slate tonight is not a bad idea. Okay. I'm just putting that out there. I like that. I like this idea. Let's move on to the last one here, which I'm excited about this one. And you might say, why? I don't see 4 outcomes for this one. I actually don't.
Nope.
You take Rendon out of this lineup for the Angels, and it is weak. It is weak. I can feel the weakness running through it, Bubba. And Frankie Montas, 8.8 on DK. Ooh-wee. How about FanDuel, 7.6? Oh, goodness gracious. I get really excited about 7.6 Montas single pitcher site, and I can go with him in tournaments. I could just play the late slate with him. I like this a lot. And I'll tell you what, man, it's nothing against Andrew Heaney, but you got 3 really good right-handed bats at the top of this order. Cheap. Thank you. Simeon, Laureano, Chapman. Oh my goodness. And let's not forget Chris Davis at 2.7. Can I get a what?
Yep, I'm 100% with you. Montas is one of my favorite arms tonight. That split, he's legit. People play that. Oh, he was on PEDs last year. No, I don't care. I'm
on PEDs right now.
I can tell. I can feel it through the mic. It's coming through. But when we look at those bats, you mentioned Chris Davis 2,700, Mark Canha 26 can hit the lefties. Stephen Piscotty's 24. Another guy hits lefties, and Franklin Barreto might be playing at 21 if you really want to get a bunch of righties in that A's lineup on FanDuel. They are super cheap on FanDuel, and they do have some values on DraftKings as well compared to other teams. So I think an A's stack is in play, but if you don't want to stack them, play Montas, late night hammer. I think it's a massive play, a good pivot off of some guys in this price range.
Yeah, me too, man. I love it as an ISO play in the late. I love it as an all day. However you want to rock and roll it, it makes sense. It's just good. And this is the thing you got to look for. FanDuel does this. The later the game, the looser it gets, and it's loose to start. And this is where you can make some money here. And there's a lot of offense here, which brings us to offense and brings us to our favorite part of the show, which is calling our shot. So we're going to do it. Bubba, you were the first guy yesterday because you were new to the show. And, so now it's my turn to go first. So I'm going to give you my pick to go yard today. And how about getting things started off right? I'm going to continue on with those Oakland A's that we kept talking about. And I'm going to go with Matt Chapman tonight, going yard against Andrew Heaney. That's right. Chapman is my home run guy. I love the lineup protection he's got there with Olsen and Davis. I could see a few dingers in this one. And I love the A's and Montas tonight. Can't quit them. How about you, Bubba? Where are you going for your dinger?
I love that call. I'm going to go to Cleveland, and I want to take the easy ones, but I'll make it a little more complicated. I'm going to go to Franmil Reyes. Franmil Reyes takes Danny Duffy deep. We know how Franmil mashes lefties, and when he hits the ball, he hits it very, very far. So give me Franmil against Danny Duffy.
Yeah, that is a good one, too. We pointed that out. It's some good stuff tonight. Yesterday was like, all right, we've got baseball back. Now I feel like we're really back, and we're really rocking and rolling here on the show, and I am excited for it. By the way, thank you, everybody, for listening yesterday to the program. And a lot of people are excited that the show is back. We're excited to be back as well. And what you do is you go subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google, whatever. We're everywhere. Go find the On Deck podcast, the LineStar MLB DFS On Deck podcast. And you subscribe, and then boom, you get that notification every morning when it drops. You go, you listen, you set your lineups, you go and check and make sure nobody threw their back out later on in the afternoon, and then you enjoy the rest of your evening. And good things here. We always try to get you in and out, the things you need to know. We like efficiency here on the program. Bubba, great stuff as always. You can follow Bubba on the Twitter machine at Casey Bubba. You can follow me at Joe Pisapia17, and make sure you're also following the LineStar app at LineStar App and at LineStar MLB. And again, you can win some swag. We're doing the swag giveaway. So if you retweet our home run calls little section on Twitter, get a chance to win free stuff. And everybody loves free stuff. No one is above free stuff, okay? We all love it. So go get yourself from some LineStar swag and get in the home run call with us too. We love it. We love when everybody gives us their calls as well. If you're right, you can gloat over us. If we're right, we'll shame you here on the program. We are, again, just happy to be back. This feels good, a full slate of Major League Baseball. So that'll do it for Bubba and myself, but the story of the game goes on. There's nothing left to do now except step into the batter's box and go yard. We'll see you next time, kids.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and KC Bubba.